Recognizing how you self-sabotage in the dating is crucial to being able to stop. Self-sabotage will always keep you from being able to get the love and connection that you deep down desire. And recognizing the different ways that you self-sabotage is a huge way in getting on the path of correction and being able to achieve the relationship that you've always wanted. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into this one. Your boy needs a cut. Now, the first of 4 things you do to self-sabotage when you're dating or the talking stage or whatever you wanna call it is that you create distance from your partner. See, and the thing about this one is that you're not only creating distance physically per se with your partner, whether it be not wanting to meet up as often, not wanting to see them often, or not making time in your busy day to actually hang out, but you also create distance emotionally and mentally. And a big reason why you actually do this is to preserve your own need for independence, but you also do it to keep from having to connect, as well as to keep from being vulnerable. Now, I'm not on your head for this one, I get it. See, you're somebody who in childhood learned at an early age that if you're emotional or express your emotions, you're considered weak. So whenever it feels like dating partners are getting a bit too close, or you may have to find yourself starting to be vulnerable, beginning to put up all this distance, whether physically, emotionally, or mentally. Now, the second of 4 ways that you self-sabotage in dating is by nitpicking. And you know I'm right. See, you and I both know that your standards are incredibly high. I'm talking crazy high. And even when somebody is good for you or could potentially be good for you, find little things to be able to justify why that person would not be a good fit. This could be the fact that somebody always wears boots versus wearing shoes. This could be the fact that somebody drives a truck instead of driving an SUV. These are little small things that you look at and you fixate on them and they begin to give you the ick, and then you convince yourself that this person is not good for you. And again, the rare times you find someone who could actually be good for you, you may generate something out of nothing in your head, blow it out of proportion, and then eventually end things because of that. But the crazy thing is that months later, you start to wonder if you were too harsh on that person, if it was worth you ending things so quickly. You start wondering, was I tripping? And you start to actually see them as a viable option. You probably even start obsessing over them. And you even start comparing anyone new you're dating to that person you lost out on, and you see that person as the one who got away. And it's crazy because you do this even though you're the one who ended things with them. And by the way, if you do that, that's actually just a coping mechanism your subconscious mind is using, ironically, in order to keep you from actually forming an emotional connection with the current people you're dating or with. For example, if you had someone in the past who you dismissed because they didn't meet your extremely high standards, you'll then go ahead and take that old person and pair this new person to that old person just as a way to not have to connect with this new person because they don't meet the imaginary standards of this old person. Long story short, because this new person isn't as good as the picture of the old person that you've created, you don't want to connect with this new person. And sometimes you even do this with exes, where you'll go ahead and romanticize a previous ex, compare all the new people you're dating to that ex, and the new people never meet up to the standards of your ex, even though your ex doesn't meet the standards you've created of them in your head. Let's get out of here. No, I'm preaching. By the way, at the end of this video, we're gonna go ahead and cover exactly what you need to focus on healing in order to stop all this self-sabotage in your dating, to be able to actually allow yourself to genuinely connect with someone so you can have the love that I know you deep down desire. Now, the third of 4 ways that you self-sabotage in dating, and actually ties into the last point we just went into, that you romanticize about the perfect partner. I mean, and this is not only just romanticizing about the way they're gonna look, but it can come down to the job or career they have. It could come down to even the way they talk, the hobbies they have. You have painted this ideal picture of what your ideal perfect partner looks like. And although it's great to have standards, we should all have standards and vet people. What's not good is to compare people to an unrealistic version in our heads. And again, all this is your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe by keeping you from actually having to form genuine emotional connections, because that would require vulnerability, someone being dependent on you when you highly believe in independence, and doesn't align with what your subconscious is actually familiar with. And finally, the fourth and final way you self-sabotage in dating is by talking yourself out of relationship. For example, someone may have the exact look you're looking for. They may have the waves. They may be a dreadhead, maybe 6'5". They may have body and chest. Maybe your skin type, may dress the way you want. They may be funny, educated. They may have money, be artistic. They may have the same values as you, but maybe they don't like the same music as you. So you'll hone in on this. You'll convince yourself that that's actually really, really important in your relationship. Then start to notice other little flaws in this person, even though no one's perfect. Eventually, you'll talk yourself out of the relationship and convince yourself that it really wasn't for you. or the person will go ahead and make a mistake, and not anything crazy. I'm not talking infidelity, but the person will make a small little mistake. They'll apologize for that mistake and take accountability, but you'll ruminate on that mistake, fixate on that mistake, and rather than working through it, which happens in healthy relationships, you'll automatically dismiss the person, dismiss the relationship, and move on, even though that person was a good fit for you. Again, I feel for you. At the core of all these are just coping mechanisms in order to protect yourself. Because again, you're somebody who's learned that it's not safe to be emotionally open, that you're weak if you're vulnerable, and that it's also not safe to be vulnerable. You've also learned that you have to be highly dependent on yourself, which is why you're ultra independent. You actually believe other people should be the same, which is why it annoys you to no ends. People are needy, need excessive validation, even though initially you're kind of drawn to those type of people. Now, a couple of the main things you need to work on in order to self-sabotaging in this way in your dating is to work on that core wound that says, I am weak when vulnerable, and also work on the core wound that says, I am unsafe. The more comfortable you get with vulnerability, the less your subconscious mind is likely to do things from keeping you from connecting with others, and the more likely you are to stop nitpicking and creating emotional, mental, or physical distance in order to keep yourself from actually connecting emotionally and being vulnerable. And speaking of vulnerability, you also want to learn to depend on people who are trustworthy and consistent in your life. Because you're somebody who is hyper independent, again, it's hard for you to actually depend on others, and having a healthy level of dependence is necessary in all healthy relationships. So you have to learn to be able to depend on other people who are actually dependable. Added gradually and smallly. This is something you're not used to doing in your life. It's going to be a growth process, but at least giving people who are dependable and trustworthy the opportunity to be dependent on with small things, and eventually gradually building that up over time can allow you to build that dependence muscle so that when you're in your relationships, you're not hyper independent, which is actually not healthy. I'm also not saying you should be hyper dependent or become codependent, but you actually want to be in the middle ground, which is interdependent, where you're able to take care of yourself if your partner can't meet your needs in that certain time, but you're also able to depend on other partners to be able to meet your need as well too. Go ahead and like this video if it's been helpful, share it with friends or family who kind of self-sabotage in this way. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more relationship tips, more relationship insights, overall just relationship help to get the healthy, God-given relationships you desire.